and welcome to Jewish World Weekly on I-24 News. I'm Emily Francis. Every week we focus on stories, issues, and personalities of Jewish interest here in Israel and throughout the global Jewish community. And we start, as always, with the top 5 items in the Jewish world, presented by Jody Natelovitz. Hi, Jody.
Thanks, Emily. Here are the top 5 items in the Jewish world this week. A neo-Nazi cult leader known as Commander Butcher has pleaded guilty to soliciting hate crimes and plotting to poison Jewish children. Mikhail Shikvishvili planned to hand out candy filled with highly poisonous ricin outside Jewish schools. Prosecutors say he now faces up to 40 years in prison. Jews are consistently targeted in hate crimes more than any other group in New York City. Cameron Kasky, a Jewish survivor of the Parkland school shooting, is running for Congress in New York to take up the seat set to be vacated by Jerry Nadler. Positioning himself as an outspoken critic of Israel, his campaign is sparking intense debate inside the Jewish community about identity, representation, and what Jewish politics means in 2025. He will be running for the Democratic ticket against Jack Schlossberg, grandson of former President John F. Kennedy, and himself partially Jewish. A German auction house has canceled the sale of hundreds of Holocaust-era items, including concentration camp letters and Gestapo documents. After outrage from survivors, scholars, and Jewish groups, critics called the sale shameless and deeply disrespectful to victims' memories. Previous auctions of artifacts linked to Nazi crimes have also been canceled in the United States over recent years. Over 80 Jewish doctors in South Africa have resigned from the National Medical Association after it cut ties with Israel's Medical Association. Last month, the South African Medical Association said it was cutting ties with Israel due to its actions in Gaza and called on the World Medical Association to do the same. The Jewish doctors called the move, quote, underhanded, and they say medical boycotts cross a red line and undermine the neutrality of humanitarian work. And finally, more than a century after the infamous anti-Semitic conviction that divided France, the French government has posthumously promoted Alfred Dreyfus to the rank of Brigadier General. Dreyfus caused a storm at the turn of the 20th century after his wrongful conviction for treason, a trial that was heavily influenced by Dreyfus's religion. Leaders called it an overdue act of justice, a symbolic correction to one of the darkest chapters in French Jewish history and in the fight against antisemitism in modern France. Those are the top 5 items in the Jewish world this week. Back to you, Emily.
For 75 years, Chabad has been known around the world with emissaries operating over 100 different Chabad houses in literally all 4 corners of the earth. But now imagine 6,500 rabbis coming together for the annual conference in New York. And joining us now on the way back to Rwanda is Rabbi Chaim Barcela, who is the Chabad emissary to Rwanda. Hello, and good to see you.
Hello, pleasure to be here.
So I love talking a bit about the history. I mean, we see the pictures of, the Lubavitcher rabbi everywhere. I mean, he's still so present, even today, people going to his grave in New York all the time. Explain why, his vision of bringing light, the light of God to the world, whether Jewish or not, is so important.
So the Lubavitcher Rebbe, as a chief rabbi of the world, he's taking care of every Jew and every soul, and every Jew is important for him. And the Rebbe started to send his missionary to all over the world during the 50s, the first place to Chabad in Morocco. And the Rebbe, is important for him that every Jew, whatever he say, it's not matter how many Jewish there, but in every place he will get a Jewish experience, and he'll be connected to his Judaism. And this is why the Rebbe sent us to all over the world. I'm in Rwanda. We have 100.
A big community of 100.
And some countries is even less. And whatever is not about the quantity, about the numbers. It's about the Jewish. And once they are there, we're going to be also there to make sure they will be connected to our Judaism. They will be proud, and they will feel strong and to continue with Judaism.
So what's it like in Rwanda? I mean, it's not exactly a country that has been a peaceful one. I mean, no one really calls it a Holocaust, but they did have a genocide about 30 years ago with 1 million people were killed. I mean, is there an interest amongst the Rwandans with this kind of history to kind of come into the fold and understand Judaism and the spiritual part a bit more?
Yeah, so in 94, there's a genocide, Hutu against the Tutsi, and 1 million people die there. But actually, they have a very good relationship with Jewish people and with Israelis. They very support, they're very happy that we are there. And it's one of the safe countries in the world. We feel very comfortable there in the country. The people love Jewish, they pray to Jerusalem, they very support us, the government, the people in the street, and it's a very safe country.
Wow, that's incredible to feel safer in a place like Rwanda than in New York City, for example.
100%.
So let's talk about, you get 6,500 Chabad rabbis in one place with the 6,500 different opinions. So explain the experience. That's a lot of people in one room.
It's a lot of people, and all the year we are alone in our countries.
Yeah.
Only in Central Africa, we are in 11 countries. We have a Jewish center below to Rabbi Shlomo ben Tulila, the head shliach in Kinshasa in Congo. He came there 35 years ago.
Wow.
And slowly, he opened more Chabad houses. So all the year we are sitting alone in the country. We don't have our friends, our community, our background. And we're so happy that once a year we're coming to the Kinus HaShluchim, to the conference rabbis in New York, to meet our friends, to meet our shluchim, that we are sharing the same lifestyle, the same experiences, the same issues. And it's a good time to be together, to meet with each other, and to take decision and to talk with our friends. I have a picture that I just meet 15 friends of mine that we are go together in the same class, and we are in 15 different countries.
Wow.
And we just meet them once a year. So it's...
Well, I mean, that's how it used to be in ancient times. The pilgrimages to the Bet Knesset from all over the world. Like families in ancient times would see each other once a year. Overall, with everything that's gone on, I know there's a big wave to try to, bring Mashiach as it is, we see it all the time, signs and the mitzvah tanks and all of that. How is joining all of these four corners so important to, where we're supposed to be going?
So we try to bring light to the world and to do one more mitzvah and one more mitzvah. And all the world is a big puzzle, and we just need to connect all the pieces together. And once I sitting there in Rwanda and with our small community, with with little kids that we have there, we have less than 12 kids, and we just open a kindergarten for them. And once we give them a Jewish education, or when someone come and put tefillin, that he live in New York and he never put tefillin in his life, and he only in Rwanda after 40 years, he got the opportunity to put tefillin. So this is a little bit light that we bring, or actually a big light that we bring, and slowly till we'll
It's interesting how once you see people abroad, you're appreciating it more than when you're living in your daily life. It's that happens a lot, for sure.
We appreciate that what we have, and we're happy that every Jew that's coming, and we are focusing in that to be with everyone that you feel is all the world is for him.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Rabbi. It was nice to meet you, and have a safe trip back to Rwanda.
Thank you very much.
And keeping on the topic of Chabad, one of its most well-known figures in the political sphere, Yehuda Kaplan, faced off against Democrats in a Senate hearing after he was nominated by President Trump as the American envoy for combating anti-Semitism. This happened in May of this year. Here's more from our I-24 News senior U.S. correspondent, Mike Wagenheim, reporting from Washington.
Will the Trump administration's anti-Semitism envoy nominee make it to a confirmation vote? Yehuda Kaplan, a successful businessman, Chabad-affiliated rabbi, and Republican operative, has seen his nomination for State Department anti-Semitism envoy languish for months before finally gaining a hearing in front of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on Wednesday.
Anti-Semitism is anti-American. Those who chant death to the Jews all too often chant death to America. We cannot allow anyone to teach children from infancy to kill and to be a martyr. Together, with bipartisan support, we must educate the world to respect one another. Lofty goals, perhaps, but a lesson that I learned from the Grand Rabbi of Lubavitch, as well as from my grandparents and my parents, is to do my best to impact and make the world a better place.
Now, Kaploun stressed education as a key to combating anti-Semitism throughout his questioning by senators, but he was grilled by Democrats over whether criticism of the Israeli government is anti-Semitic, replying that he deferred to the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition, and that consistency of critiques globally, rather than singling out Israel and Israel alone, can help flesh out what is anti-Semitic. A collection of House Democrats sent a letter to committee members calling for them to reject Kaploun's nomination due to his statements that Democrats were unwilling to label the perpetrators of the October 7th attacks as terrorists, and the claimed unwillingness of the Biden administration to make a statement about combating anti-Semitism. Democrats largely reject both charges. They also took Kaploun to task for not speaking out when Trump said at an event Kaploun helped organize last year that Jews would be to blame should Trump lose the presidential election. Now, there is no timetable for the committee to vote on Kaploun's nomination and no indication of Republican opposition. That indicates it's likely his nomination will advance to the full Senate, even if it takes a party line vote from the Foreign Relations Committee. Reporting from Washington, Mike Wagenheim, I-24 News.
This year's annual International Mayors Conference brought together scores of city leaders from around the globe, all with the goal of reshaping the future. Joining us now from Jerusalem via Zoom is Daniel Rosen, the president of the American Jewish Congress. Hello, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you for having me.
So you've had quite a busy slate. First, I just want to know from the standpoint of local leaders, I mean, we're seeing so much, especially, what's happened in the recent election in New York. Why is it so important for mayors to come here and take part of this conference and to discuss different kinds of solutions and issues?
Look, we've just finished 4 days with 25 mayors from all continents on the globe. And I will tell you, over the course of the days, we learned that Israeli technology can play an integral role in the lives of citizens. Mayors are the ones who actually touch citizens the most. So when we look as the American Jewish Congress at science diplomacy, at technology diplomacy, we believe by introducing technology, more specifically AI, that we are able to show Israel's technology and how it can improve the lives of citizens all over the globe.
Now, also, I mean, there's a big task, with mayors from all different cities of a big, seemingly still a disconnect between, Jewish Americans and Israel. How concerning is that in, trying to move forward and to, bring more people into the fold, so to speak?
Look, as an American Jew from New York, I sort of always think my grandparents were Holocaust survivors. So I've lived the stories of anti-Semitism, and the Jewish community is shocked. 77% of the Jewish community in the United States feels less safe since October 7th. And we're seeing from the far left and the far right language that is basically normalizing hate speech against Jews. The American Jewish Congress has always been focused on not just on fighting hate speech of all kinds, and by bringing mayors from all over the globe and seeing young entrepreneurs, Jewish, Muslim, Bedouin, we saw from the very beginning stages of innovation to the very end when we were at the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange today celebrating Israeli unicorns. We believe that by taking this message of what Israel provides to the world, that we can give the mayors the tools to show the real facts. What we see on social media today, what we see on certain news channels across the world is not the real story. And we are just simply pushing real dialogue based on real facts. And we think the best way to do that is to bring as many people as we can on the ground here to see it for themselves, not to tell them what to believe, but let them see the facts and then bring it back into their communities, whether it's the United States or whether it's anywhere else on the globe.
So what have you seen as far as some of the mayors that have come, clearly who are not Jewish and from, cities that aren't necessarily, have a big density, of Jewish members? How are they affected by being here, and how are they being kind of taught? Because we know it all, the buck stops there. I mean, we see what's already starting to happen with Mamdani. There's security threats. There's, all things policing, all things that mayors have to deal with. How to give them the tools on how to use technology and their voice from what they've learned here to further that goal.
Look, I saw their faces when they got here, and I saw their faces when they left about 30 minutes ago. And I can tell you it is a world of difference. One mayor after the next, from Africa, from South America, from Europe, from Asia. Each of them in their own way found ways to see how the technology they saw could be integrated in their city. We went to Sderot. We saw startups that dealt with the resilience of a community that was under attack on October 7th and after. They learned about mental health. They learned about alarm systems. They learned about alerting their systems, how to use AI to improve the lives of citizens. We also took them to the Nova Festival. We took them to Kibbutz Kfar Aza. In each of these cases, they understood the resilience of Israel and how technology is used here in a way that can dramatically impact the lives of citizens. Each of them have their own set of issues, but each of them came away with a different sense of what could be achieved. And I think they were all quite happy when they left. And I can tell you that they have already started to follow up with the startups that we met to see how they can be implemented in their cities.
Wow. Well, if that's any sign of success, I mean, that's the perfect case. And also, these mayors are quite brave. I mean, I imagine, anywhere you go, there are going to be people that are not going to be supportive of their stance in trying to, smooth things over.
I think you're right. Look, when we set this out to build this, war was still going on. We did get very good responses from mayors, so we were happy to see that. Yes, brave, but also I think they understand that being here, being part of the Israeli technology ecosystem is critically important. Israel plays a pivotal role in the region, in the world, as far as bringing technologies. The story is not told enough, and our goal is to have these mayors come out as ambassadors for how Israeli technology can improve the lives of citizens, and therefore tell the real story of what Israel does for the world.
Well, clearly being able to see it, live and in person, with the emotional component, I'm sure has given them a lot to think about, especially when they get to their home countries and, it starts to sink in and process everything that they did on this whirlwind trip to Israel. Daniel Rosen of the AJC, thank you so much.
Great. Emily, thank you so much for having me.
Turning a pain into purpose, one helmet at a time. Our next guest has found a creative way to help heal trauma for IDF soldiers as well as citizens, after enduring all the horrors of the ongoing war. Joining us now in studio is Sigal Ajej, who has come up with such a innovative, creative way to try to bring light on something that is not necessarily so welcome normally when we're seeing these helmets being worn by soldiers. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So I guess start how this whole thing started. We know that we're here, October 7th happens, everybody's rushing to find a way to help. Mm-hmm. Food, clothes, supplies. I mean, this was kind of the first, the wave of doing things. So this didn't start right away with helmets. Explain kind of what happened vis-a-vis, your volunteering and how it changed you.
Well, I made Aliyah October 7th of 2020. And October 6th, 2023, I was pretty certain that this wasn't working out and that we were going to return to New York, California. I just wasn't sure where. And October 7th, 23 came, and we made a 3-year anniversary kiddush in our local synagogue. And I had a little bit of an idea of what was going on, but we were going there to celebrate, and I was speaking. And I was pretty set that I wasn't going to stay. And then October 7th, and we found out what was happening. And it was almost, I don't really know how this all happened, but it was a divine calling, mm-hmm. I'd say. And I started to report on Facebook, on social media, Facebook and Instagram, about how the environment was changing in Netanya and the shift in the overall morale. And I really, till this day, don't know how I got the first call for 50 pairs of boots. But within 20 minutes, I was able to fundraise for these boots and deliver it to a base in Shoam. And that's a whole nother story where they offloaded 90 and again was able to cover the cost. And so fast forward, I'm with an amuta, a nonprofit that is tax deductible in both the US and Israel. And I'm fundraising for gear and equipment. And this started as just a creative way to fundraise.
So, with that said, clearly it's grown and it's become, quite robust. Everybody, wanting to have their spin interpretation. So where are you getting the helmets from? And explain some of the artists and how I imagine they found you, a lot of them as well.
So, basically, the units either have the old helmets in a storage facility on base, and I had seen that another organization did something like this to fundraise. And I said, well, with my connections now, a year in, I could probably pull off something similar. So either units will turn in their helmets with the incentive that I'm replacing helmet for helmet. And now I have lone soldiers, individual soldiers that will say, my helmet doesn't fit. It's broken. It's going to take too long for me to get a replacement. I'm holding it together by string. And I'm like, well, bring it over. Let's take a look. And I'll replace it immediately. Those old helmets are going to be given to artists. And it was really just a mission to fundraise. And I had the first 27 helmets. I put them on an online auction. We sold 20 and raised $10,000.
Wow.
And that went right back into buying equipment. And then I felt really guilty because in each helmet on the underside is a story. And then the process that the artists are going through have been so therapeutic and manifesting itself in healing that I have artists that have done 3-4 helmets and can't stop. And the stories behind the helmets are, there's no value on them now.
Right. I mean, and it's beautiful when you give somebody a blank, not canvas in this case, but a helmet will have different creative ways. We have some that you've brought here. This one with the rose is quite beautiful. Lemons, all of this. So, explain once everybody works on it, what do you do with them?
So the first round was sold in an online auction. The second round had a theme, and about 28 of those helmets are going into the Haganah Museum in December around Hanukkah time. And it's very timely. A lot of the helmets in that second round were done in memory of Rose Lubin, who was murdered November of 2023. Each artist had to put something like a rose in her memory. And it was a real tribute to her. And some of those will be in the museum. And the third round is A New Day Will Rise. And everybody just went along with that. This is from round 2. This is an amazing artist, Sahar Haba, and that's my favorite. I own that one. And he's what I would say more of a graffiti funky artist, but he hands me this helmet with lemons, and he tells me this story about what gave him strength while he was in Gaza were the thoughts and memories of the lemon tree in his mother's yard.
Wow.
And the weekends and Shabbat there and laughter, and that was really his anchor. And this first one over there with the roses, those are all letters from 1960 to 2024 from that family and everybody who was in the military. And this one I just got the other day, and it's talking about, stop your crying, stop the tears. Behind the tears, there is hope, and our sons will return to the border. And
it's really so, it's so touching and such a special outlet and something that you're really able to use your hands. It's a unique
incredible
way of expressing oneself.
And it's a reflection of our people. Not everybody is a famous artist. These are mothers of soldiers. These are siblings of soldiers. These are children living in the OTEF, in the Gaza envelope. And they're just regular people that have had strong feelings. And the intention is to give hope to our people, just to show that there is a little bit of softness in moving forward and beginning again, like a wedding.
So how can people find these helmets and purchase them, fundraise?
Okay, so the auction I'm not so sure about right now, but we'll see what direction we go in. For now, they will be in the Haganah Museum in December. Hopefully, other museums will pick up on it, and it'll, God willing, travel with the Ministry of Defense. And I have probably another 48 helmets coming down the pipeline.
Wow.
And I can't wait to share it with the world. And
beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, it's so amazing what you're doing and all the hard work. I know you're driving yourself. You're delivering everything yourself. You are a one-woman superstar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that's all for this week's episode of Jewish World Weekly. Head over to I24 News' website, YouTube channel, of course, our social media platforms to catch up on this episode as well as previous episodes and segments. Thank you, as always, for watching. I'm Emily Francis, and shalom from Tel Aviv.